Hey everyone, welcome to the roof truss tutorial for the Education 4754 course. Myself, Patrick O'Leary, and Jordan Shippett are going to be walking through how to do a roof truss for you today. So what's on your screen right now is the jig and our template for getting started with the roof truss.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use our jig and sliding T-bevel to find the angle for the top chord.
So now, using the sliding T-bevel on that angle we just found, we're setting up our saw to match that. This is to cut our top chord. And we knew that cutting our piece of 2x3 in half would leave us with enough sides on both ends of the truss, so that's what we did to get started.
So after we made that cut, we knew we had enough on either side of our 2x3, so we used our square and sliding T-bevel to cut to length. Here we also use our sliding T-bevel to transfer the angle.
And here we are just cutting our top chord to length. Next we use the template to find the angle of our bottom chord. So here again I'm just using the sliding T-bevel to see exactly what the angle we need to cut at is. And again, this is the same process as before. We're just cutting that piece of 2x3 in half, giving us lots of room to play with on either side of our bottom chord.
So next we take our bottom chord and lay it on top of our top chord. We want to find the angle that we're going to cut. So here we're using our square and our meter stick to find that angle. We're using our meter stick here to make sure that our line is parallel with the top chord.
So here we're just setting up the bandsaw to make that cut we just marked out. You could use a handsaw, but that would take too long. And alternatively, you could use a circular saw, but Gonzo wouldn't let us, so we're stuck using the bandsaw.
Next, we lay our bottom chord in our jig and we mark it to cut it to length.
Just barely mark it. Okay, that's good.
Once this is done, we cut.
So once our bottom chord is placed firmly in our jig, we're just gonna mark out our lines for drilling, and you do that about 1/4 of an inch in. And then we're doing the same thing on the bottom here to connect our bottom and top chords. And here we are drilling out our holes, and we're going to do this with a countersink bit, so none of the screw head is extending past the wood. And of course we do the same thing for the top and bottom chords.
So next we just make sure that both sides of our top chord are flush, and then we screw them to fit. And we do the same thing for the bottom chord.
And same thing as before, we're pre-drilling our holes with a countersink bit, and then we'll use that to countersink our screws to connecting the top and bottom cords. So next we need to make our webs that support the truss. So we find the middle of our piece of 2x3, and on the same 30-degree angle that we found before, we make 2 cuts bisecting it. So we have our top now, and now we just need to mark the bottom of our web. So we fit that in snug up top, and then mark where the wood meets on the bottom. Next, we use our sliding T-bevel to make sure we keep the angle consistent with the one on the bottom, and we mark that across for our cut lines.
Not the middle. Try to mill it off.
And then we just use our bandsaw to cut. So once we've made our cuts, we fit that snugly in between our top cord and our bottom cord, and then we pre-drill our holes.
Go for it.
So here we're using our square to mark our next web, which is going to be 6 inches from our middle web. And then we take our sliding T-bevel, make sure we're on the right angle, and use that to make sure the line we're drawing is parallel.
Oh, I was wrong.
Then we take our web segment and we mark and cut it to length.
Once this is cut and fit snugly, we're going to use our sliding T-bevel to mark parallel lines, so that way we know where to pre-drill our holes.
There you go. Now you're going to find that angle. Great. Go.
Then again, we pre-drill our holes using the countersink bit. Before finally setting our screws.
Nice bit.
So after this is finished, we have to create our gusset plates. So first we use our sliding T-bevel to find the angles, and then we cut to size using the bandsaw. So here we're just continuing to make our gusset plates. So we're laying it in place and marking it to cut to size. And then we make our cut.
So once all our gusset plates were cut to fit, we tacked a nail in each of the 4 corners to secure it to our truss.
Because we want to get a video of you guys putting that up and putting the shins in. Well, if you guys want to talk like that, take a video of it.
Once our gusset plates were securely on our truss, we first marked where our joints in the cords met, so we knew where not to nail. And then we marked out the rest of our nailing pattern. So we just drew a parallel line from nail to nail. And then drew perpendicular lines about every 3/4 of an inch.
And then we do the same thing for the other gusset plates. And finally, we nail where our lines intersect.
And that's how you make a roof truss.